Hey folks, how's it going? Good old Rube here, Rubecast, episode 11 with my friend, the legendary Rob Stotts of Goners UK. How's it going, Rob?
Howdy do, buddy.
Doing good.
I'm glad to be here.
So we have no plan.
Yeah, zero.
No, we're just letting her buck.
My wife and kids are at the grocery store, so I'm doing this instead of bothering her at the store.
That's perfect. It's the perfect plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give you an introduction, and then you can give yourself an introduction. How about that?
Cool.
So Rob and I got to know each other through the tiny little punk rock scene we have in Bozeman, and I had like a project going, and Rob said, "Hey, you want to come open for us for our tour kickoff?" Was that last year already, 2024?
Yes.
So we opened for you guys, and it was awesome. And in my opinion, Goners UK are your band, of which you are one of the two singers, are the flagship punk rock band of Montana. I'm saying it. You're not saying it. I'm saying it.
Thank you.
You are our guys, and I love you guys. Had the opportunity to play some backup drums, practice drummer a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
For you guys, and it's been really fun.
Oh, it's been a blast.
Yeah,
doing that.
So tell people about you. What are some bullet points?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm Rob. I play bass in Goners UK for the first half of the set, and after that, I switched to vocals, and James takes over bass. I like punk rock. I live in Big Timber, and yeah,
that's why we have so much in common.
Yeah, little small town Montana kind of thing. But yeah, it's rad.
Yeah, it is cool. Like, we're a different breed up here, and I think that's maybe why we connected.
Yeah.
You know, I always have it, and we've talked about this with my line of work and the stuff I do and my beliefs. Sometimes punk rockers are a little leery of me because they think I'm going to try and convert them all and sprinkle holy water on them.
Yeah.
I don't know what they think, but
is like that's so not punk rock of them. You know, like you're supposed to be like, we accept everyone no matter what, and like, yeah, dude, you totally should. So you accept him, her, and they, and them, and everybody else, but the guy that's like, hell yeah, Jesus, they're like, nah, I don't like him.
We don't like that guy.
Like, dude, come on. Like,
we put
shut
that
up.
on the jukebox for profiling purposes.
Yeah, it's not like he's running around shoving Jesus down your throat, you know? Oh, day drinking
that's why I do it.
Kiss.
That's why I do it. I was going to get us a 6-pack of Miller Lite. That's what I was going to do.
Zero sugar sun kiss. You're really partying it up.
Let me read some of the ingredients here that I think RFK, if he has his way, these will be banned. Let's see. Here's a guy. Red 40 and yellow 6. Those are going
You're gonna
down.
die.
Yeah, it's pretty much. And that's okay. I think we have similar ways of talking because you got a brother, 2 brothers,
3 of them,
3 brothers and a sister.
Yep.
Right. But growing up around 3 brothers, I think we have that in common because there's no sensitivity going around.
Yeah.
Like you're getting winged in the head with sticks. You're getting rocks thrown at you. You're a skater.
Yeah.
I quit skating years ago because I knew that I was going to die and not be able to play guitar. So
Yeah.
I cleared my first forced stare and I was done.
Yeah,
but you still do it.
I really, I don't skate nearly as much as I should, but I skate just enough to where I can keep up with Ryder, and I've got a couple of tricks that I've been able to do consistently for 20 years, and that's pretty much it. You know,
what are the tricks?
My big one is a fakie big spin. I'll out fakie big spin anybody you put me against. I guarantee.
That's a good one.
But and then the basics like kick flips and backside flips, little stuff. But nothing crazy. Yeah, and
you're
snowboarding
cool.
was the one that I was really good at, but definitely don't have the money to do that.
That's what's so funny is those of us that like skating and snowboarding, you would think that snowboarding is kind of a one-to-one to skateboarding because it's a lot of the same balance and you're on the same axis and it's a little different. But those of us who grew up skating, and pretty much anyone can do that. I mean, I always got Powell blanks as a kid.
Yeah.
Because they were just cheap. I just Powell blanks and wreck them, do some board slides. I never could do any of those. I could do a kick flip. I could never do a heel flip. I could ollie over a 5-gallon bucket turned on its side.
Yeah.
But I had like a slab, which you probably did too.
Oh,
because you grew up out by Norris, right?
Well, no, actually, I mean, yes, I did spend a lot of
Your
time
high
out there,
school
but in elementary school, I lived in Fontana, California.
Okay.
And when I lived in southern Fontana, we had skate spots galore everywhere. Everywhere you looked, there was something rad to skate. But then when I moved to North Fontana, it was just kind of dirt everywhere. And I did have just like a concrete slab that was like not smooth concrete either. It was not good. But that's where I started to really learn like flip tricks and stuff like that, because I didn't have any obstacles to skate. I just had like a 10 by 15 slab of concrete to barely push around on.
It's kind of like what we had growing up. But what do they call it where you jump off of something and then put your board under you? I can't remember.
Like caveman?
Yeah, or is it
or acid drop? Yeah,
acid drop.
Yeah,
I would jump off like a 2.5 foot curb that kind of went down from the garage and then put my board under me.
Yeah, that'd be an acid drop. Yeah.
But you're like a daredevil. I'm a wuss. Like I know, because you have, like, your son has it too. Like I see the footage that you take of your son doing stuff, and like he has that gene. Like he'll jump off of stuff, or he'll just, I think it comes wired into you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll go off the jump. I was always that kid at the sleepover. Those, I don't know if we should climb up into the loft, Wally. Whereas you would have been, I'll climb up and I'll jump off it.
Like, can we bring fireworks? Yeah, for sure.
You'd also be the guy I'd sit with in events. If we would have been the same age and grown up together, that we would have been guys that would not be allowed to sit next to each other.
Oh, yeah.
We would have got in trouble. And those are the best guys.
Yeah. Well, when they make you sit in the front of the class kind of thing, or at the front of the bus,
Yes.
I was always that kid. I don't think that there was very many days I ever got to sit at the back of the bus or the back of the class.
So,
they need to keep a close eye on me at all times.
Those are always, and this is what's interesting. They're the funnest people, usually the easiest people to get along with. At least that's what I found. I connected with punks when I was in high school. We had this cute little Christian punk rock band called Excluded. And, that was in probably like 99 to 2002, around that window. Now, Fontana, where's that in relation to bigger cities or towns in California?
Well, it is its own city,
Okay.
But it's in San Bernardino. It's just inland. It's Inland Empire, California. It's a SHIT hole.
You're doing really good.
I didn't cuss, man.
You're doing better than my brother Caleb.
I would have normally said the F-bomb like 68 times by now.
Well, I was gonna have a little tally so I knew where to punch in and bleep stuff, because I don't want to make you be someone you're not. Like I don't like that. And to me,
I made sure I cussed out my kids on the way over. That way I could get it out of my system. I'm kidding. If you don't know me,
It's very spiritual.
shut up.
oh, my buddy Elliot, I don't know if Elliot listens to this, but he wrote a joke some years ago, and he said, I was at Target, and there's this mom chewing out her kids and yelling at him and screaming at him and just letting them have it. And, I finally just had enough, and I said, hey, lady, take it to Walmart. That was a good joke that he wrote.
That's great.
Yeah, no, Rob is really nice to his kids. He's an old softy. I shouldn't be fiddling.
I definitely love them kids more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell that. Well, it was after the best damn punk show, and I can say that because that's what it's called.
Yes.
Or between sets, my wife and daughter came to visit me, and my little girl ran to me and gave me a hug, and you looked at me and you said, you never know when it's going to be the last time that happens. As far as like, they're going to get older and they're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And we both have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like terrified of that day. I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm going to get every single one of these hugs I can get.
This is why we have plenty of places where we can dump bodies, and we will help each other.
Yeah, for sure.
I will. I don't care.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. Anyway.
Norris, Montana, plenty of mine shafts and stuff out there.
And between there and where I grew up,
miles.
we joke we'll put them in the dead pile and disc them down in the spring. So you were in Fontana, California, Inland Empire, so Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
When did you all move? See, this is, okay, all the Californians I know say we're the good ones. There are actually good ones. Yeah. And I, as a multi-generational Montanan, will say you and your family are the good ones.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's about 2%.
Yeah.
And you are, because I know your mom, I know your dad, I've met your brother Randy at least, and you guys are awesome. You are more Montanan than some of the Montanans I know.
I could fully agree with that. Absolutely.
Because you slay elk,
Yeah.
You're a hunter. You like to be outside. You have honor. I mean, I think that's something that really connected me to you because you're an honorable person.
Yeah.
You do what you say you're going to do. And if you can't do something, you don't say you can do it.
Yeah.
You have honor. You married a gal from Big Timber, but I guess that's more fast forward. So Fontana, from there to Montana.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when was that?
And I don't remember what the year was. I was 12. I guess it was probably like 2002, right around there. We moved from California up here, and we didn't actually have a house to move into when we came up here. We just needed to get out of there. Long story, not going into that. But
I mean,
so,
we can if you want.
No. You're gonna need permission slip on that. But we had a friend up here that had a motorhome, and they let us borrow the motorhome, and we stayed up in Highlight Reservoir up here outside of Bozeman for the first 2 weeks that we lived here. So I went from the inner city in the ghetto to living at Highlight Reservoir, like in the middle of the woods, which was nuts for me. And so we lived up there for 2 weeks, and then we bought a trailer in Four Corners. And we stayed in Forest Park for a few years, or I don't know, 4 or 5 years or something like that. And then moved out to Norris after that. And yeah, what a crazy trip that was, like going from thousands of kids in my middle school to going to Montfortin Elementary, which was kindergarten through 8th grade, and it was 112 kids.
And I know of, because I went to Manhattan Christian.
Yeah.
And in junior high, we'd play Montfortin in basketball.
Yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
remember us thinking, these kids are weird. And we were the Christian school kids.
I know.
So you're going from California.
Oh, man. And it was a huge shock for me, but it was a shock for them, too. I had like a probably 8-inch tall pink mohawk when I moved here.
Yes.
And these kids are like, tucking in their button-up shirts and stuff, and they're like, they thought that like cigarettes and marijuana was like as bad as you could possibly go as a human. And I'm like, oh my god, these children don't know anything at all. Like, I've seen dead bodies, man. What are you kids doing? It's just great. It's great that they don't grow up like that. That's why I love that I raised my kids in Big Timber, Montana. They're not going to see 99% of what I had to see growing up, and that's what it's all about right there,
And you're one of the ones that like you guys did not take it with you.
Oh yeah, we left all the bad back in California.
You didn't,
and
you did
could stay there.
Yeah, but
for sure.
But that's the thing, is I think in a lot of ways, what Californians migrating and New Yorkers or East Coasters, however you want to say it, migrating here is, I think a lot of it between native Montanans, I mean, multi-generational Montanans and out-of-staters, I think it might be more of a class struggle than it is like a culture clash. Because like you and I mean, I just feel like we have a lot in common. And I don't know, like you you did not come from a place of, we sold our $1 million home and we bought a $500,000 home or a double or $2 million home.
I moved out of a homeless shelter into Section 8, and then I went from Section 8 to Montana in the motorhome.
Yeah.
Okay, so like it has been a slow, we stepped it up for sure. But yeah, no $1 million nothing around here, man.
But that's
besides
different.
$1 million bail, maybe. That's probably true somewhere in my bloodline, I'm sure.
Depending on who crosses us.
But that was something I just noticed. Like you're a really hardworking guy. You paint for a living, mostly custom. Like, would you say small batch kind of stuff? Or
no, I don't really take on like big projects. The Yellowstone Club and all that, they can have it.
Yep,
burn it. I don't care. No, I paint. I do repaints for little old ladies, and I paint cabinets and. Nothing crazy,
And you work extremely hard, and you're extremely busy, and you take the work ethic, and I think you inherited a lot of that from your mom and dad because they work really hard too.
Yeah,
you take the work ethic and you roll that into music. I mean, I've seen that because you get it done.
Yeah, I don't know, man. When I set my mind to something, when I have something that I really want to do, there's nothing's really gonna get in my way. I just like go for it,
And I think personally, I mean, I've known a few musicians. I'm a musician. I've known quite a few, and I think I really do think this, and I'm not just saying this because you're on my podcast that 30s people listen to. But
Hey,
that's still pretty good, right? It's better than nothing.
Take it.
But I think you're one of those guys that, I mean, you're one of those rare talents. You're charismatic. I don't mean that like in the weird spiritual way. Like, you're a charismatic guy. You're a magnetic guy. You're fun to watch. You're, good writer. You're really fun to jam with. I mean, it's been some of the funnest times I've had playing music have been helping you guys practice.
Yeah.
And I mean, like that song you guys have I don't know if it's recorded yet, but it's the collaboration with the guy, and it's is it the one?
It's called Adverse Possession.
Adverse Possession.
Yeah.
So can you say some of the lyrics?
Yeah. Hold on.
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
It does say bad word, but I'll bleep it. Said cops knocking on the door again. Come back with a warrant. B word. Feds threaten us with foster kids, but my mama didn't raise no snitch. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's your lyric.
Yeah, it's my favorite line of the whole song. It's probably my favorite line of the album at this point.
There's a desperation in that song. So when it comes out, whenever the album comes out, I encourage all of you to listen to it. And I know like a lot of the people who listen to this are maybe more like old school country, outlaw country, maybe classic rock. I know that's always been a bridge too far for a lot of my family members. Is I'll say, hey, you should come see the punk rock band. I'll go, and they don't do it because it makes them uncomfortable. But I really encourage you to go check out Goners. Yeah, you're gonna hear some naughty words, but here's what's interesting. I think there's some hypocrisy in how people consume music, just in my experience. If it's like a twang and it's a bad word, then we're all cool with it.
Shit.
Yeah, like. If you hear a country guy say something just really horrible, like I killed my family and I liked it and dirt, it's like, all right, so that's not appropriate. But if you hear like a hip hop guy, which you also are, or a punk rock guy say it, then all of a sudden it's bad. You know, like some guy in really tight Wranglers and boots can say, I don't like the government. And everyone's like, yeah, me neither. But if some guy with a tattoo on his face says it, and all of a sudden. So there is. So I challenge you.
There's two things. What the hell is it? It's there's two things that I love in this world: is outlaw country and the law. Shut up, nerd. God.
Yeah.
Blue lives matter. Yeah. Go away.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's so funny. Like, do you have any friends that are cops?
Ruben, look me in my eyes.
Do you know?
I despise police.
Do you know
every
any
single
cops?
one of them? I know some cops that are not complete POSs, but I hate their choice of a job. You chose to be a bully and get paid for it. So, hell no.
This is
I hate cops, and I always will. I'll never stop.
So there's a song, dude. I hate cops. I always will. I'll never stop.
I'm like,
no. Well, like, that's kind of interesting because I've got a couple of good friends. I think 3 good friends. And all of them, when I look back, they're on local sheriff's departments. And they're really good guys. Like,
when they take the badge off, they can be a great guy. But when you got that badge on, you're a paid bully, and I'm not for it.
So shout out to, actually, no, I'm not going to mention his name. But there's a guy, and his coworkers, he's on a local PD, and I'm not going to say where, sheriff's department, and they called him the Idiot Whisperer. Because he was a master of de-escalation.
Really?
He wasn't tackling people. He didn't have his knee in anyone's back.
That's good.
He would just talk them down.
Yeah.
He's retired now.
He's like 1 in 1,000.
Yeah.
Or like 1 in 1,000,000 even.
If you're listening to this, and I've never bought into the, how do I put this? How do we put it nice? Even though we're talking about punk rock, which is not nice. But I've never bought into I open-handedly support this entire group of people no matter what they do. Like, whether it's their career or cultural affinity. Like, no, everyone can be horrible.
Yeah.
And so, like, to say I support all police, well, you can't really say that because not all police are good people.
Yeah.
You know, and so
definitely not.
And we've seen,
I can say, as strong as my opinions are, that not all police are bad people.
No.
When he takes off that badge, he could be the coolest dude. We could actually be friends.
Yep.
But I highly doubt that would ever happen.
But
Me knowing what his job is, but just if there's something about, man, that when you applied for that job, there's like some explicit word about it. I don't like it.
I've noticed, and there's probably some sociopathy, if that's the word, sociopathic leanings. I know, like the other day, I was thinking about this the other day. There are two kinds, and those of you that are extreme law and order, and you're this is just proving that I am going to offend absolutely everyone on this podcast, and I couldn't be happier. So I gotta finish this. There are two types of people. There are people, when the cops show up, you think, oh, that's nice. And there are other people like me and Rob, when the cop shows up, you think, oh, shoot, what did I do?
Yeah.
What did they find out?
Well, and I
still feel that way.
Most of the time, whatever the situation is, we can handle it amongst ourselves and as a community, whatever the issue may be. Yeah, okay, so if someone's breaking into houses and they got a gun and it's a whole thing, yeah, call a cop, because he's going to show up, he's allowed to have a gun, and it's going to be that, you know?
Yeah.
But if there's an argument or just like a minor altercation or just something stupid, like, dude, handle that in-house, handle that as a community.
Yep.
Come together. If there's a bad guy that's, you know, I don't know, being a creep toward kids or something like that. Like, dude, handle that as a community. We don't need to get a cop involved in that. We're going to give him the biggest slap on the wrist you ever saw. They're like, no, 10 of us from down the street are going to beat this dude senseless, and he'll never think about doing that again. That is a far better way to go about things, in my opinion.
What scares me, and I think that's something that everyone could agree on, like, actually engage in conflict and conflict resolution.
Yeah.
And punishing people for doing creepy stuff that everyone knows is wrong. But I will say I did report a creepy guy at a park a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, report it if you have to.
Like, it was scary. He was walking laps around the park just looking at kids. He's by himself, no kids.
And
like,
in that case, yeah, I mean, you could walk up and try to intimidate the guy or talk to him or whatever.
Fight.
But you know, yeah, you could get the cop involved. He's just going to chase him off. But
that's all they're going to do.
If this keeps happening,
you got to get him.
Then it's on you to punch this man in the mouth. You know, like that.
It's
hard.
Like situational stuff. You got your kids with you. I get in a fight with a guy because he's disturbing. He disturbed a young mom, and my 4-year-old's with me. You know, it's hard to know. Like, we just got in the car because I'm like, I can't confront this guy. I've got my little girl.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, but it's also interesting because I was surrounded by a bunch of yuppie Bozeman dads. Shout out to the yuppie Bozeman dads.
Yeah.
They all dress in Carhartt and act like they work really hard, but we know that they don't. Anyway, it was weird, but I think you're right. And I think that's just kind of I think more people need to think critically, because we have this kind of, I notice it with liberals. I notice it with conservatives. We all think one way. You know, like I have plenty of friends who, and I don't want to get into the whole foreign policy stuff, but
yeah, I wouldn't even know what to say anyway.
I have
I'm so disconnected from all of that.
Yeah, they support Israel no matter what, and I have friends that support Palestine no matter what. And I think you're both a little bit wrong. I think there are bad actors on both sides of any given conflict, and you know, I mean, but I got a friend who his dad is from Palestine and has been physically beaten and abused by Israeli military. So my friend has a whole different view on it than a lot of them. So I think, you know, no matter what the situation is, like, you hear a narrative and people just pick the narrative. I mean, I try to listen to as much as I can, but again, like you said, I can't care. I got to care about, like, you got to care about Big Timber. I've got to care about my neighborhood where I live in Bozeman. I want to care about my family, my kids.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think, I mean, I got a good friend who was in the military, and he said, if voting did anything, they wouldn't let us do it. You know, but
yeah, that's solid. I like it.
But like, back to music. So you come and you go, I did not realize you went to Montfortin, and that just makes your story so much more funny, because it's like a homeschool public school.
Dude, yeah.
It's so funny.
They
Rob
had no
stopped
idea
with
what
the
they
pink
were.
mohawk at Montfortin.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I've never touched cigarettes in my life.
Yeah.
You know?
They didn't know what they were getting into. And it wasn't just me either. my one of my best friends growing up, his name's Tommy. He's also from California. He's from like a nicer part of California, but still a California kid, a total knucklehead. And we're best friends, and we moved right around the same time, so in the same grade too. So we clicked instantly,
Of course.
and it was like the dynamic duo of F-wordery around that whole school, man.
The Lords of Chaos.
Yeah, it was a blast. Yeah.
And they deserved it.
Yeah,
we
they
always
need
got
to have things shaken up,
Yeah.
you know? I don't like boring. Just not for me.
we like in my school we were a tame version of rebellion, but in our context it was rebellious nonetheless. I'll never forget. I mean, we had a punk rock band. Someone's dad started a rumor that me and my friend Jeff smoked pot, and we didn't. It's just like
What a rumor, too.
well, and then I know a certain young man who figured, well, they're already rumoring about it. I'm just going to smoke pot. That was a generation. But anyway,
Let it rip.
yeah, like we had that, that same thing, like the outcast thing. And I think that's what connects all people who are into punk rock. And I think that, this, whatever you want to call the scene, from what I can understand, it has kind of changed a little bit over the years. And I don't know how, and I don't really want to criticize it because I'm not about that. But it used to just be kids like you, and I mean you're probably about 10 years younger than how old
I'm
are you?
33.
Okay, so you're 7 years younger than me. But it would have been guys like us. We would have just by default become friends because we didn't fit anywhere else. And that was what drew me to punk rock. Was I love my church people, but I don't really fit in with my youth group. I mean, I love them. I love not the youth group, but my church people. I hated youth group when I was a kid. And then I became a youth pastor. But anyway, I love these people. I don't fit anywhere, but I do fit with all these reject kids.
Yeah.
And
But then you don't, because you're Jesus.
so
You're like, I'm a man without a country. I can't fit anywhere.
Yeah, and yeah.
But it's rad because you still do, like
Well, with you guys, we've become friends.
we fully accept you
Yeah.
and your career choice. There's other people's career choices we don't, but
Well, I mean,
not
I can
getting
kinda,
back into that.
No, but I can kind of hover, like I can hover there because my part of my job is to love people, and so that's yeah. I mean, I love punks, and you guys and your band have just been awesome. All right, so you come. Do you ever watch? Did you ever watch Elf?
Elf?
And that's why I love you so much. Your eyes tell the story. He says that in Elf, the Christmas movie.
I
But
saw
anyway.
it when it first came out. but-
So I'm not trying to sound like that weirdo in that movie. But so you're at Monforton, and is that a high school too?
No.
Okay, so
K
that's
through 8.
K through 8. Then where?
Then Bozeman High School for the first semester of freshman year, and then I got the boot from that spot, and I went to Bridger Alternative and killed it there. I loved the alternative school, the best thing that I ever did. And I was actually set to graduate an entire year early because I was so far ahead on credits, but like a bunch of my other friends had already dropped out, and I was like, dude, like all of my friends are gone. I'm not learning anything new, like, because I don't know, I jumped so far ahead. So I just ended up dropping out and got my GED and went straight to work.
Well, you got it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't do all the whole 4 years. I kind of wish that I would have stayed in longer, just because it was like, just that's such a short part of your life that you never really get to go back and do, and when you're in it, you're just like, all I want to do is get out of this damn building,
Yep.
But then as I'm older, I'm like, man, I should have did that last year of school just to soak that up.
Yeah, because there's kind of like there's kind of a bubble you get to live in when you're in high school, and then the real world comes crashing around you when you're in the workforce and you go. But then there's also the flip side of that of young people who are in just perpetual adolescence, like going to college and acting like morons and not having any sort of repercussions to any of their actions. I'll never forget the first Best Damn Punk show I came to. It's probably the first time I ever visited with any of you guys. And I'll never forget this. People like to have a few beers. But there was this group of like I don't know what else to call them. They're like techno partiers, like upper crust tourists in Bozeman going up and down Main Street. And we're all sitting there just visiting and having a good time. And they're across the street from us and looking at us. And it's really up. It's just, I guess, because we're all wearing black and are heavily tattooed. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that was but I just noticed they're looking at us like, whoa, watch out for those people. And they were more drunk and high than anyone that I was sitting around. And I just thought, how interesting is that? Like, I'm more scared of those people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm scared of you. I'm not scared of these people. And to be fair, if there's certain look that someone might have, that you would be a little scared of them. But I've never felt that.
I say most of the time, the punk rockers and the metalheads and skinheads and just people of our people are the best people that I've ever met.
Yep.
And the worst people I've ever met are the ones that look, they look the part of, just normal, completely normal people. Those are usually the worst.
Sam Bilson.
Not saying that they all are, of course.
No.
And not saying that every punk rocker is a total gem too.
There's dirt bags in the scene too.
For sure. But I would say my personal experience, most of the punk rockers and metalheads and those types that I've met are great, amazing people.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've had. I mean, like if I guess I just think about what's Sierra's new band now, Man Leash.
Yeah, Man Leash.
Man Leash, really gifted musician.
Anything that Sierra is involved in, I love it. She is so rad, dude.
Yep.
Like
she's really cool,
and she's terrifying too. Yeah. I love her so much. Like I think the first time that I saw her other band, Geimrith, I'm like, didn't really know what to expect. It was a 2-piece, and she goes up there, and I'm friends with her older sister Taylor. We go way back. So she'd been telling me to go check out her sister's band, and I see like the lights are all dim, all spooky looking, and then just like
it's
completely
legit black metal,
like blank expression, no words between songs, just this howling, horrible scream, like
and
comes
it's
out
amazing.
Of this like
razor blade glass shard scream coming out of this tiny little gal,
out of this tiny little girl, and just this full demon's voice comes out of her, and I'm like, holy smokes, dude, this chick is rad. And she's a total sweetheart too.
Yeah, really nice, but also super deadpan sense of humor.
Yeah,
but like her, I don't know if she's still around, that fella, but he's a hoot too.
Bridger?
Yeah,
Bridger.
He's a hoot, man. He got a circle pit going at our last show, one of our last shows. They are just fun to be around. So you kind of find that out in Montana if you're in a metal or a punk band. You more end up playing for the other bands than you do for the people that are there, just because, especially in Bozeman, we just can't get people to show up.
That's why we don't play Montana.
That's why Goners doesn't play. I mean, how's Helena? How's Butte? How's Missoula? Because you just had a little kind of baby tour just recently.
No, it was just 2 days.
Okay,
but we got Butte coming later this month.
Okay.
Helena was rad. It was actually like a metal fest kind of thing that we played. But
that's the best way to do it.
It was super fun. The venue, excellent. The guy that put the whole thing on killed it. Sean Bryan is his name. And so yeah, that was fun. But Missoula is always a good time, and we usually play at Monk's because the lady that runs the place, Shauna, just totally rules. But the venue is so big, it's one of those like, man, if you don't have 200 people in here, it feels real empty kind of thing. So I don't know. It's fun, but I've been there, done that with Montana. I want to go do other stuff,
Well, you talk about one thing I find out that still here we are fairly sheltered. Friends always calling me. Anyway, but you talk about metalheads, punk rockers, and skinheads. For those who are less seasoned, can you please explain what we mean when we say skinhead?
Oh, yeah,
in the punk scene.
Yeah, not a bonehead. Not to be confused with bonehead. Bonehead is racist.
Yeah.
A skinhead is not racist at all. It's just
working class.
Yeah, working class.
Buzzed hair, braces or suspenders to the layman.
They got short hair, and they like to listen to oi 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 oi.
Yeah,
tough guy stuff.
Yeah,
and I love it.
I went to work one day in the morning.
I mean, we have some kind of oi-ish songs in our band.
Yeah,
I mean, you do too. Rattle Can is pretty oi sounding to me, like hardcore oi.
Yeah, I guess it does. It does have kind of an oi feel.
That's when I like if I get to choose if I ever get to play a show behind the drums with you guys, I want to play that one.
Rattle can, huh?
Yeah.
Shit, man, we haven't played that song in a long time.
I love that one. I'm gonna link to we're still going, by the way. I'm gonna link to your guys' Spotify, I think, and then I'll see if I can find, I don't know if, is it Geimerith? Is that Sierra's main band? I'm going to see if I can find a link to her music too, because it's awesome. Now, folks that listen to this, you're not going to like this music probably, because I know most of the people, like my family members and folks, good Montana folks that I know, but give it a shot. Like, Goners to me is just the quintessential Montana punk rock band. And I don't know, like, I've really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. And I guess people might ask, like, well, maybe they would ask me, well, how do you choose people that you have on your podcast? And Rob, you're the first one. I mean, you kind of are family to me, but you're the first non-blood family person that I've had. I'm just talking to people that I know.
Yeah.
And so people that I like and people that I know, that's kind of the rule. I have no goal to go to whatever level or this. I just want to talk to people that I like, that I know, that I'm interested with. So so it's people I know. So if you're listening, you're hearing this through my filter. These are the people, like Rob's my friend, or you talk when I'm talking to my brothers or my dad or whomever else that I have come on here. It's people that I connect with.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would. I mean, if I would get an offer, like say Rancid comes through town.
Yeah, right.
I'd probably have Tim and Lars on here, but that's probably not going to happen. That's going to be your podcast. And I think you should, like you were talking about starting one and talking with other band people. Okay, let me go back. So you go to Bozeman High. That doesn't work out, which who would be surprised? It's Bozeman High.
Yeah.
You go to the alternative school. You drop out, you get your GED, and you start working. When did you? So you've always been into punk rock.
Yeah,
since you were a little kid, because your mom and dad are into punk rock.
My favorite song and band in kindergarten was Ruby Soho by Rancid, and that's as a 5-year-old.
And that was on the radio back in the day.
Yeah. So and for long time, Rancid's been my number one for a very, very long time. But then
me too, for a while.
I would say, as an adult, like once I really started to like relate to the music, and it really like started to like, I don't know, tell my story through someone else's, it became Pistol Grip took over the number one spot as favorite band, because those guys are from where I'm from, and they're talking about stuff that I really, really relate to. So that's why they took over the Rancid spot. I don't know nothing about the Bay Area, but I know about what the Pistol Grip guys are talking about.
And their stuff, it's really, man, it's really, I don't know, it's super raw, and you can tell that they've lived what they're talking about. And I think that's the thing with you, is I can tell you've lived what you're singing about.
Yeah.
And you can't fake that.
Yeah, no. And if you try to fake it, anybody that has really been through it, they're gonna see right through you every time, Like same thing with hip hop, any of that. Like if you're blowing smoke, some people are gonna believe it and be like, "Wow, you're cool."
Usually the other Slim Shadys in the crowd.
Yeah, but the ones who have been there, done that, they're gonna see right through you.
I mean, we have that with cowboys. I mean, I grew up on a ranch.
For sure.
My brother Caleb,
that's synthetic poop on your boots, boy.
I mean, it's the same thing. And, that was kind of interesting, because I think you probably grew up in the time like I did, where your music kind of dictated your group of friends.
Oh, absolutely.
Or maybe your group of friends dictated your music, or maybe a little bit of both. But, if you were listening to aggressive music, that was your friend group. I'll just say aggressive music, because in Montana, punk, metal, in some cases alternative music, but maybe not all the time, you kind of rallied together. And,
you got to mesh it all together, because if you're like, in a big city, you could really break things down into like, oh yeah, these guys are just, D-beat street punk.
It's only
stuff.
street punk.
And you could have 1,000 people in that friend group, but then no, in Montana they're like, oh yeah, well, if there's a slight amount of distortion on the guitar, we're all best friends.
And it's
you got to stick together. There's only 3.5 of us.
Well, and it ebbed and flowed. I think maybe there were more punk bands around in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe mid, I don't know. And then because I mean, it was more on the radio, and it started like there was kind of a second wave, I suppose you'd say. Well, third wave, right? Because there'd be like the Ramones and the Sex Pistols and the Clash and all that, like the Damned and all that. And then there was the second wave, like the 82 stuff with GBH and the Exploited and Discharge.
Yeah.
So then there was a punk resurgence in the 90s that caught us when we were kids.
That would have been the Offspring, Rancid, Pennywise, all of that stuff. No Effects. Green Day? Totally. I love Green Day.
I still love them too.
Yep.
It's hard.
I will never put that band down. I love them.
The only thing, and I'm not trying to put them down, but the guy liner, I just don't understand. But other than that,
hey, Mike Ness did it though.
That's really
Another
true.
State of Mind.
And he could beat up lots of people. He was pretty tough, from what I understand.
I don't know.
I'm a big Social D fan. It
You
took much
definitely
to
don't want to get beat up by a guy wearing eyeliner.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he did it. But like
maybe that keeps people from picking on you because, of course, they want to pick on you because you wear an eyeliner. But then they're like, wait a minute, what if that guy beats me up? I'm never going to live this down.
But Mike Ness would talk about, man, you get beat up by the local football team for having blue hair, man.
Yeah, don't get me started.
And I know.
I love his band, but I wish he would just hush a little bit.
Sometimes, well, isn't that a thing? I kind of wish in some cases, put it in your lyrics, put it in your experience. But I mean, I preach sermons. I don't need to hear more sermons when I go to shows.
I mean, I guess, I got no.
But it's freedom of expression.
Mike Ness has been there, done that, and I love the guy. I love his music, but it is kind of funny. Like when you listen to the Live at the Roxy CD or whatever, you're like, bro, come on, you're laying it on a little thick here.
Well, yeah, I think like Mike Ness is what got me into outlaw country. And like with Bob Dylan and
Cheating at Solitaire album
and
the Bob Dylan cover is so good.
Don't Think Twice.
Yeah,
and Under the Influences too. That's another.
That's actually why I listen to any sort of Bob Dylan whatsoever is because of the Mike Ness cover.
But also song. Being a hip hop guy too, there's a lyrical element. So what your hip hop project?
Oh yeah, we don't even have to go into that.
You don't want to talk about
it? I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but yeah,
it's too long.
That's a long one. That I'm so
that'll be
glad
round
to
two.
be done with.
Oh, but, you're done.
Well, for the most part, I might come out and do a show here and there. But I had a hip hop thing I did for a long time. It was called Buckshot Kill It, and I played a lot of shows. I did a lot of cool stuff, and that's just, I don't know. That all led into what I really love, and what I really love is being in a band,
Well, I think a lot of guys have drawn parallels between the early hip-hop scene and the punk rock scene because it was just kids creating things with what they had.
Yeah.
And that's so for you as a young guy, that's what you're doing.
That's why I did the hip-hop at all, is because I always wanted to be in a punk rock band, but I had nobody to be in a band with. And I'm like, well, I mean, I like hip-hop too, and it turns out like I'm pretty decent at this. So I just like let that happen. So what I made was my version of like a one-man band punk rock kind of deal. Like, and you could definitely see that in any of the live shows we were doing back then. And then finally, once things came around with Goners, and then I was able to put Buckshot on the back burner. Oh, I pushed it so far onto the back burner.
But it's you're a natural. I encourage anyone come see Rob and his band because even if you're not a big punk rock person, you can appreciate it. And I always tell people, do you like rock and roll? Punk rock is just rock and roll, but cooler. Well, yeah, like punk rock is more rock and roll is now because it's stripped down and it's aggressive, and that's how rock and roll started.
Yeah. Well, like especially anybody that's the generation before mine, if they were stoked on the Rolling Stones at all, then bro.
Yeah,
give the punk rock a chance because it's just a little bit faster, a little bit louder than Rolling Stones, but we got it's like the same thing at the core of it. Like it's kick ass.
Yeah,
like
trace the line from the Blues to the Rolling Stones, from the Rolling Stones to the Stooges or the New York Dolls.
Yeah,
from the Stooges or the New York Dolls to the Ramones.
Yeah,
from the Ramones, because we all know the Ramones were the first official ones. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah,
I'm just like, no, it's the Ramones. People. It's funny because people ask me like, oh, it's your favorite band. I'm like, the Ramones. They're my favorite punk rock band. I don't know. I just like him. I like them. And talk about like Lars Fredriksson from Rancid. I'm pretty sure he said he got on record saying his favorite Ramones album was the last one they put out, Adios Amigos.
Yeah.
It's a great album. Anyway, I love the Ramones.
Yeah.
There. But I mean, Rancid was for me too. You like One Man Army?
Mm-hmm.
I saw One Man Army in 2000 or 99 as a kid.
Where at?
At the Warped Tour in
Oh, nice.
Bozeman.
That's awesome.
It destroyed my brain.
You know, I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of bands on those Warped Tours that came through here that people didn't even realize were there. Like they're just like, you know, and now they probably listen to them now and had no idea that they even
I had that.
walked right by them, you know?
Yeah. Green Day was on that year or the year after that too, and then they were really good. I mean, to be like, they got me into it. All right, so Goners UK, how long were you in that band?
I've been in Goners for 7 years, I guess.
That's
I
crazy.
think Goners has been a band for 8 years. Okay, so Goners started, they had a different bass player, Dustin, and he's great. They call him Drunk Punk for a good reason. And he was in the band for like, I don't know, maybe like 9 months or so. And then I caught wind that he was leaving the band and that they were going to need a bass player. And I'm like, well, I don't own a bass. I don't know how to play a bass, but I sure like this band. So, hey, guys, I'll be your bass player if you want. And they were like, okay, let her rip. And I just dove in head first. Had never played a bass before, really. Like, I plucked around on my brother's like a time or two, but literally never actually tried to play. And I just dove in. I practiced with him for like 2 or 3 weeks, and we played a show.
That's the way. You're gonna find that like in punk rock more than anything else.
Yeah.
Is all right. I'm gonna get the root notes down and let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go do it.
And you know, it was great because that's how I got my foot in the door. I got to start doing what I've always wanted to do, is be in a band. But at the same time, it was like I jumped in, and it was such like a fast like go, like learn now. I never really got to like figure out my instrument. Yeah. I was just basically I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it, but I was just playing those notes. I wasn't thinking about what was around them and like all the other possibilities and runs and little things I could add in. I didn't start thinking about that stuff until like a year ago.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2 years ago. But so now I'm like really starting to figure out my instrument. I feel like I just now started playing bass with this new album that we're writing, because this is the first time I've had any sort of like creativity in my stuff. Not saying that I wasn't allowed to be creative.
You're still writing songs. You're still writing riffs. You're still writing lyrics.
Yeah, but this one I was able to like, you know, add some flair because I had the confidence to do it now that I've figured out what my instrument does, rather than just following the blueprint of the rhythm guitar, basically, you know?
So it was kind of funny because some of the guys from your band are saying, I hope this one turns out. I hope this one turns out. And like, I'm sitting here with you every so often hitting some drums. I know it's going to turn out. I mean, it's going to be a good one. What do you have the name for it?
The album?
Yeah.
No, we have an idea.
Yeah.
We have I think we actually do have the album name. I just don't want to say
you don't have to. I get it. You guys are really good about you're really good about being disciplined and not putting anything out till you have something done. Sometimes I'll just put something out, kick it out the back door because only 5 people listen anyways.
Well, it's hard, man, because I know how to play the game, like how to do stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's really hard to play that game if you don't have ammunition, basically. Like if you don't have a new song to put out, or you don't have a really good high quality picture to put out with a post or whatever, you know, like, then it's easy to let your buzz like drop off, and you'll go from, you know, whatever your average amount of likes or engagement or whatever it is, and it'll cut in half like almost overnight if you're not keeping up with engagement, you know?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I hate it so much.
Like the social media thing, like you have to keep a regular clip. So how often do you post on social media and stuff like that?
I don't know. Not as often as I should, but I stopped caring so much. Like it drives me nuts that that's what everything is based off of now. Like, you're not ever going to get a record deal based on how rad your music is. You're going to get a record deal because they saw that, oh, you make a post and, you know, 95% of your followers are engaging with it like crazy, you know. Just stupid numbers and algorithms and stuff like that is just a bummer. But I understand how to play the game.
So you have to have enough bullets to shoot over a period of time.
Yeah, and that's why we're like we need to hire a professional photographer coming up soon because we've had bandmate changes and stuff like that. So all of our like super high quality photos that I would use as ammunition for posting, they have ex-band members in the background. It's like there's no hard feelings toward those guys except for one. But don't even get me started. But yeah, they have the other members in the background. And it's like, well, I feel weird about posting it. It's like, dude's not in the band anymore. I don't want him to feel a certain way about it or whatever, you know? Yeah. So, we need to just start all over, gather a bunch of pictures, get a bunch of video, and it's a whole thing.
It's fun. I mean, so where have you had, and we can wrap it up in a few minutes, but where have you had the best response to your music? Because that's a frustration we have here. And again, I got a band. We're gonna play 2 shows this year.
Yeah,
maybe 3 or 4, but probably 2. So we have talked about this. It's really hard to get people to show up for punk rock shows in Bozeman, and it's weird because it's fun, and sometimes there's a little bit of a built-in crowd at the Labor Temple, like the all ages crowd, and if they all decide to show up, it can be really good, but we just can't get them to show up in this town. So where have you had the best response to Goners as a band? Like, you guys went on tour last year.
Our spot is definitely Salt Lake City.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I would rather play Salt Lake than anywhere, really. Denver's cool. But yeah, I would say Salt Lake City for sure.
Yeah.
LA is great, but that's because it's LA and that's just how
everything
it is, you know?
is there.
Yeah, it's rad.
I think I do think that
if you only get 0.5% of the punk rockers to come out to your show, it's a massive
you're
show.
doing great.
You know? So
yeah. Like those crazy shows under overpasses and in backyards where they're just like stirring up dust and people are getting smacked.
Gnarly.
So that's what's so interesting. I do think that a lot of creative types from Montana, or alternative types, I'll just say, all have a secret love for California because we know a lot of good stuff comes from and came from there. I mean, so much stuff that is just part of the cultural lexicon of our country.
Yeah,
comes from there.
Excellent punk rock music came out of there.
And I think, this is something I said to somebody a little while ago, and I think actually just today I was talking about it. How ironic is this? I had to go to the funeral home to help a family plan a funeral. They had a really, really wonderful lady passed away, and we're gonna miss her. She was 92, so she was ready to go. But anyway, the receptionist there goes, "Hey, you got a show coming up?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Her husband was hopefully gonna come, and I just said, "Yeah, punk rock just doesn't seem to fly in Bozeman, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because rich kids don't want to rebel against the system."
Yeah.
What did you call the fund? So
crust fund.
Crust fund, if you know punk rock scene, they're crust punks and they all look homeless and they wear spiky stuff and they smell really bad, but like half of them are rich kids.
They got dropped off by mom in the BMW to the punk rock show.
Don't embarrass me, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a few. I won't call them out by name, but they all know who they are. And they would never listen. They would never listen to this podcast anyway because it has my name on it.
Well, and also
or they're
not going to listen to it because I've talked about some faith stuff in some previous episodes, but that's what you are. Case in point, what I want to do with this is I want to talk to my friends. I don't care what you believe. You're my friend. I want to talk to you. You're interesting. I'm gonna have my friend Tom Swiftbird come on sometime. He's a Lakota guy. He works out in Rapid City for a nonprofit. Super interesting guy. I'm trying to get Mario to come on.
Yeah,
but I think I don't know if Mario really likes to. I don't know if he wants to public speak.
He'll do it. Like I've seen Mario on stage so many times.
He's a great performer.
Great.
Yeah.
He's one of the best. He'll be fine.
He's got the juice.
Yeah, he'll get it for sure.
Yeah, he's just so busy. He's like the second in command of our shop, basically.
Yeah,
music shop. But
and I like the way you were talking about that. It's like where it doesn't really matter how our beliefs are different. That we can still be friends. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It drives me nuts, man. Anything with the political point of view and stuff like that. It'd be like, bro, like you're missing out on some people that could be like the best people that you've ever known, just because they said that they voted for this person or they hate cops, they love cops. So any of that, like you're like, why are you not giving this person the time of day just because of their stupid political stuff? yeah, you guys might disagree on one thing, but you're going to agree on 100 others that you're going to link in with that person and be tight, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I always tell
Like, I don't
people-
agree with all of your stuff. With
Probably not.
With, you know, your career, with all of your stuff that you do on
You
your
don't agree
Sundays,
with
you know? I don't agree.
most of the stuff I probably
Yeah.
say or do. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I don't
like
agree
the
with
things
all of
that
it,
I
but
teach or
Yeah.
what. But
I
guess,
could still be your friend. And
Well,
we could still link up on 1,000 other things
Well,
because how many
that's-
other people love One Man Army in
Yeah.
Bozeman, Montana?
this
we
our kind
do.
of our kind of
You
music,
know?
and that's where it's just like it narrows down, and it's an important thing. And I'll give you this: in my line of work, there's a lot of times where it feels like I'm not allowed to be a person.
Yeah.
Like I'm a talking head, or I'm a thing, or I'm a different entity. And so now that's why I'm grateful in my current job. I am allowed to be a person, but that was kind of cool. Like a couple years ago at the Best Damn Punk Show, it was the first punk show I had come to in a really long time, and I'll never forget. I just decided I'm not going to tell people what I do for a living. And then like they would ask, and I'd say, well, this is what I do. And then they'd, oh, what the F are you doing here? And well, I'm just here
Whoever
to have.
said that, you should try to remember who that
Yeah.
is so I could never let them in a show again. What
But
a
it was more
D
kind of
word.
like it was
Try
kind of
not
like
to cuss.
you're doing really well. You're doing better than my brother did. But it was kind of more like it was like more of a barb. It was kind of like they were busting my chops a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit. It wasn't
if
like
they're just busting your balls,
and-
then it's like,
yeah.
what, I'm gonna break your balls all the time
You
over
did-
it. But
and you
that's
have,
how that's
and
how
it's
it's gonna
funny.
go.
Like,
but if they
it's-
were serious, I'd be like, bro, get out,
I
dude.
think it was one time I showed up to help Chris load up some amps, and you guys were going somewhere. I think you were going to go film a music video in Belgrade.
Oh yeah, that's when we shot
And-
the Blackheart video.
And I came and I was like, I get a preaching hangover, and I'm like, man, I'm so pooped. And you said something like, what, did you get all high off Jesus? Did you have too much? And we just laughed. Like, you don't, like, okay, Christians, stop having such sensitive hind ends, okay?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many good people, and that's, so anyway, for myself, I found out, I found out that punk rock, it allows me to be a person. Like, I can just be a guy.
Yeah,
I'm just a guy at a show, or I'm just a guy playing a show, and I love it. And I think you're awesome in your band, and I'm glad you're my friend. And yeah, it's, I guess, moral of the story: talk to people you don't agree with, because you could become really good friends. And we don't even talk about what we don't agree. Like, who cares?
yeah, we skip right over it. Like, all right,
I don't
understood.
care.
Yeah,
It's oh, this riff is good, or like you're helping produce our album.
yeah.
And I'll send you a thing, and you go, well, maybe do this. And by the way, I just re-recorded some vocals, and I realized that I didn't do them how I wanted, but I don't care. Anyway, I'll have to send you that. But, yeah, we have so much in common with our music and our views of, like, I don't know. I think you go back to just being someone who didn't feel like you fit in.
Yeah,
And that really, that unites people. And I think that's really powerful.
yeah.
But, man, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Works
You got,
for me, dude.
you got anything you want to say to the 30-some people that listen to this?
I don't know. Yeah, check out Goners UK. And check out the Rockin' Chads. Of course, you guys probably hear that all the time.
No.
But yeah, Goners coming out with a new album. Don't know when exactly, because we're taking our sweet time on this one, making sure that it's done the right way. So yeah, I'm just psyched on everything right now.
Yeah, I don't promote my punk rock band on this, or at least I haven't, because I know most people won't like it. But I'm challenging you, folks. Go listen to Goners. You're going to hear some naughty words, but the perspective that Rob and James have, they're really considerate lyric writers and good songwriters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a fan. Yeah. Bro, thanks
Right
for
on.
coming on.
Yeah, dude.
Folks, this has been the Rubecast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for just sitting here and listening to what we have to say. Rob's the man, and check out his band. I don't know what else to say. I guess I'll just say
Dude, 0 F words.
you did really
for
well.
like an hour.
You did really well. This is a world land speed 0 F word record for Rob Stotts. Man, thanks for coming on. It's been great. Folks, have a great one.